What did you do before? You were flying, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, when did you start flying?
I can't remember how old. It must be young. I think, how old was it? My God, that was donkey years, I should say. Early 30s, I think, or I think so, about that.
Welcome you on board at Flight 797 this morning on into Los Angeles. Due to snow.
It's unheard of, actually, when I joined Saudi Airline. For the very beginning, I already thinking, what kind of airline is that, you know, because not many knows about Saudi Arabia, actually. Number one, they are laid back, but when you miss a flight, for example, many times, then they get tough with that. But otherwise, I was so happy in that.
She had a couple of odd jobs from around 2008 till 2 or 3 years, right up to when she was diagnosed. But it was a bit hard for her to keep her jobs. I think once there was a job she worked for, is like selling materials at the Geylang Baru area, you know, selling like people want to make baju kurung, then they buy the material. So she has to remember the pricing per foot, and each different material has different pricing, so that was not that easy for her anymore.
I feel like I have it, but I cannot grasp it, I feel. You know what I'm saying? They just go. That's how looking back, that's how I was thinking why Dino was mad at the very beginning. I don't even know that I have. But I keep on asking Dino the same thing. Oh, what time is it, Dino? And then he said, so and so. Oh, thank you. Then I go to the kitchen, blah, 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 blah.
Is it correct? Yeah.
Then I asked again. And he got mad. Not really mad. He just said, Mama, you just asked me. So I didn't know. So I said, don't be rude, I'm just asking. And I walk away, you know. Yeah?
No.
Okay.
It's not later. In 2012 itself, where my mom was trying to find the value of her gold, so she brought it to a few pawn shops, she went to a bank and everything. And when she got home, she told me, whole gold is lost. She left it like at a pawn shop. So I went with her, all the pawn shops, everything, and at around 1 a.m. we finally couldn't find anything, so I brought her to the police post, make a police report. Then we went home one more time. We ransacked her bedroom, and it was in the bedroom.
Got it?
She's a relatively young patient. By definition, anyone below 65 years who have symptoms of dementia, that would be considered young onset. And her main symptoms were more of forgetfulness, which has been progressive and rather rapid. So her diagnosis would be that of a young onset Alzheimer's disease. I think in Singapore, we have become the national referral center for young onset dementia. And our statistics show that the number of patients with young onset dementia are steadily increasing. This could be related to increasing awareness among the younger people. And so other things like lifestyle, those who have strokes, those who have heart disease, diabetes, cholesterol, family history, makes the onset of dementia start at an earlier age. So it was like a four-fold increase even over the last 5 years. And I would still think that this is still the tip of the iceberg. For many reasons, patients who are young either don't want to accept that they have problems and hence they don't go and see a doctor, or when they go and see a doctor, they are not given the appropriate diagnosis. I believe there are many more patients who are in this 35 to 65 year age group who are out there not diagnosed, not managed.
Who else had a dementia in your family?
My mom, my mom's two elder sisters. I have my mom's sister in Indonesia, which has passed away also. That was it. There's 3, 4.
So 3 people in your family had dementia before?
Yes.
Again, we do not know the exact reason why people start to have Alzheimer's disease. Especially in the younger people, 25 to 30% of them is genetically related. So they have certain genes in their system that increases the deposition of a protein called amyloid. And this is what causes loss of brain cells, the typical hallmark of Alzheimer's disease.
This one you did not finish. Yeah, slowly. How do you usually count it? You usually do it yourself, no?
17.
7 plus 8.
16. 17.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay lah. Right, 17 lah.
One see
Yeah. And after that. After that. 17?
It's static.
No.
17.
2. What's the next number after 17? No, don't just follow. After 17 is what number, ma?
Couldn't find it.
Slowly, do you see 18?
So.
Yeah. So you have to connect the 17 to the 18.
Yeah, I lost it. 18.
17, yeah.
17 here.
Yeah, 19. Yeah.
20.
No, 19, 20.
It's subjective, actually.
No, it's not subjective. It's not subjective at all.
So here.
Yeah. After 22 is what number?
22, 23.
Okay, then go to 23.
Madam Annie, her symptoms have progressed, but she's really lucky because she has a very supportive family. They are always there for her, they keep encouraging her, they keep stimulating her cognitively. So I think that has worked a lot in terms of her social abilities. Along with that, with the medications that we are keeping her on, I suppose that has helped stabilize her. But definitely we need something more potent if you're going to stop the disease from further progressing.
What happens, doctor? What will happen to all these dementia people? Yeah, they slowly die. Like everyone else, but it's a matter of time.
You don't wear specs, huh? You can see me?
Yeah, this one can, this one. No, I want to remove my glasses. When I remove them, I look much more beautiful in case. You know what I'm saying? don't snap without us. I don't shed a tear. Why should I? When I shed a tear, I mean, who would want to help me? I make myself happy. And I am, really.
you have this is Nicolette and his boyfriend. Okay, and this is Oriel. The other two who is who?
Joshua and Joaquin.
Joshua and Joaquin. Joshua is the eldest. Okay, Joshua, the eldest,
Her condition sort of started way before we brought her to the doctors for a checkup. It probably started 1-2 years after she quit her job.
What did you used to do? Do you remember what you used to do?
What I remember is when I stopped, and I just went out to see all my friends.
When you were working, what do you work?
When I was working, I was okay. I was with.
What do you do? ExxonMobil, right?
ExxonMobil, yeah. I was
The signs were more of forgetfulness. She couldn't find words to describe things, or she wouldn't even remember like important dates, maybe like birthdays or anniversaries. I guess we joked about it in the beginning because maybe it was like a one-time thing. We were not exactly sure that it was this serious.
Jennifer was working at that point. I think it was on the administrative line, and she started having problems at work. She was making errors in terms of keeping records. And when she went to her supervisor with these problems, he suggested to go and see the doctor.
It was her company doctor back then. But the doctor sort of brushed it off, saying that she was a bit too young to have dementia or Alzheimer's.
Do you do it every day?
Yeah, every day. This is an hour, big one and the small one. This one is so pretty. I like this one. This is the first one.
She then went on doing her existing work with a lot of problems, and then went to see another doctor out of the panel, but in the healthcare system, and again the same issue. The doctor says it's not likely to be dementia because dementia occurs after the age of 65 years. They're just too young. So by the time she came to us, again, already 3 years had passed. And in terms of brain diseases, I think every day counts, because unlike any other part of the body, once you lose a brain cell, it will never come back, right? So if you want to delay or maximize someone's brain potential, you need to diagnose early.
So we have been drawing it and coloring it, and have all the what?
Grapes.
Grapes. So many types of grapes.
We were in the car one day and we were just casually asking our mum, so do you remember Joshua's birthday? Do you remember Joachim's birthday? And she could sort of get the month back then, but she couldn't remember the date. So that was a bit worrisome because she used to talk about our birthdays and she used to plan birthday parties for us back when we were a lot younger.
Yeah, the last one.
Yeah?
Last one was yours.
So do you remember the month?
The month, cannot remember the month.
Before December?
Before
Comes
December.
before December.
Oh, before December, so it should be November lah.
Right.
If you think about an elderly person with dementia, most of the time that person has retired, has done all the economic aspects of what is required for their life. The children are grown up. So the care needs for such a patient is mainly just taking care of that individual. Whereas someone who's 45 years old, for example, the sole breadwinner, so when he develops dementia, the consequences is not only on him, but his children, his family. Most of the children are young. When they're young, they need financial support. They can't understand why their parents are behaving in a certain way. Right? So again, the mental impact on the children. So these are the factors that are very different in these young patients with dementia and has not been addressed adequately.
finger here.
Okay, look at mine. Very nice, huh?
Still have, yeah, this age is cute, of course. Wait till they are big and they are rude. Kids not nowadays.
We have something called STEAM, where we work together with Alzheimer's Disease Association. And this is a cognitive stimulation program where the patient comes in with a caregiver. They spend a few hours where they do things together, for example, art, how to handle simple finances. So what then happens is it gives a feeling of fulfillment for the patient, at the same time for the carer to understand what are the problems that the loved one is facing. And our staff are there to show them and guide them how to overcome some of these problems.
So do that, okay. Gentle. Show the dice. 1, 2, 3, 4. Red mask.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Cannot. Got ear or not?
3 only.
Got 4. You can hit the one in front of Annie.
For memory loss, unfortunately, we are unable to actually improve in terms of short-term memory loss. But overall, we can actually improve their well-being. When they are happy, they actually, hopefully they eat better, they sleep better, and they will actually remember better.
The first day at STEAM program, she was sort of quiet. She held back a bit on the activities that they were doing. Yeah, and then second time came, she said, oh, no, I don't want to go there, it's boring. Yeah, but she still went along, she still went ahead with the program. And after maybe 4 or 5 times after that, she would actually ask me, are we going back to Tiong Bahru?
I was about 14 years old when my dad was diagnosed with younger onset Alzheimer's. To begin with, my mom had a hard time trying to come to terms with it, and it was not an illness that was very well put out there. We basically went through every day learning what the illness does to my father on a daily basis, and basically seeing my father, disappear. Especially at the earlier stages, there's always that portion of confusion and anger. You don't know you're losing your mind, and you're just basically confused, like, why is this happening, or, Earlier stages of my dad's illness, he would still be driving, and he would still come by and pick me up from school, and we would go for lunch. So one day after lunch, when we were driving out of the car park, I'm not sure what happened and what the reason was, but suddenly I had a slap across my face. All I knew is that I did not make a mistake, and I could see a slight sense of remorse on my dad's end. Like he wished he had not done it. But at the same time, I think at that point of time, that wasn't enough for me to feel better about the situation. When the temper and confusion arises, and us as caregivers, my mom as a caregiver and us as kids being younger, everyone has emotional baggage, and I think that is what makes it even harder to remember my dad for who he was and not because of how the illness has taken him away. Moments with my father was very rare, and people don't realize how important these times are. And being 14 years old, even take into consideration, even after he's been diagnosed, that, hey, I need to slow my life down and start spending more time with my father. This is dad and mom with my elder brother. Yeah, I think honestly I kind of regretted not taking enough pictures with my father. I mean, 10 years of my dad in his illness, especially the earlier stages. I could have took more pictures with him, but I guess we didn't realize the need for it. And then when you start trying to look for pictures and I start trying to find myself in the same shot as him, it's like rare, very, very rare. Looking through all of the pictures, it kind of made me feel like my dad had quite a rich life. It's just that he never really got to enjoy the last bit of it, which is retirement and yeah, seeing us grow up. In this day and age, people don't have the time to go to a support group and sit down and spend 2 hours of their life basically sitting there and sharing their life story. So we want to make support accessible to people. We want to allow people to go online anytime and be able to find the right help that they need. So this is our Singapore page. On this page we have the latest stories that are from our community, and we have faces of support. So it's really about building that identification for younger caregivers, and especially the younger Singaporean caregivers. A lot of times they are placed to be at home to take care of their loved one, and they don't know what to do. So they end up having to call their parents, half of the time, trying to figure out what to do, what's the next step. So I hope more focus will be placed on the younger caregivers, basically the younger adults that are going through this journey, and provide the right support network.
I think they need more daycare centers. I mean, the daycare centers we have now, there's a long waiting list. And there's not much awareness, I think. Because like the STEAM program is specifically tailored for the early onset dementia patients, which is fantastic. If they would create maybe even a daycare center just for the early onsets ones, they would not feel left out. They would not feel like, oh yeah, why am I surrounded with everyone who's like 80 and 90 and I'm like, 58.
There's a tendency for us to sometimes not pay attention to people with dementia and what they have to say, because we think that they have dementia and what they say is not of value. And it's not true, because people with dementia, especially in early stage and even moderate stage dementia, can still make choices for themselves. They can still have their own preferences. Their opinions are still to be valued, and that's very important.
Hi, good morning, Eden.
Right,
How are you?
Good, thank you.
Yeah, I'm Mazmi here. I'm actually the facilitator for this activity. So, do you know, Eden, why you are here?
I do. I'm gonna experience what it's like to have dementia.
So, are you ready?
I am very ready. Let's do it.
Let's start with the beans. Persons with dementia, they don't only have dementia, but they also have other medical conditions. So, there are props to simulate these medical conditions. Very often we hear a lot of elderly, when they walk, they complain, isn't it? They say, oh, my legs is very painful. Right? So these beans, I will place it inside your shoes to create that painful sensation.
Oh, look, it feels like I got pins and needles. What have I done to myself? My grandma has dementia and my granddad has recently got dementia as well. I have always loved them and I always will. But I would say that when it comes to understanding the condition, I don't know exactly what they're going through.
And here, this gloves and a masking tape, I'm going to tape your fingers to make it difficult for you to hold an object.
So this is arthritis, right?
Yes. This music to you and me is an enjoyment, isn't it? But for people with dementia, the music can be very annoying, and that can trigger agitation and anger for them as well.
You just play a song called Static.
So this is the tinted goggles, and we use it to simulate poor vision. And you have to put on all this gear throughout the activities.
Wow.
So how now? Are you feeling the pain?
Not yet.
Can we start the experiment now?
Sorry.
Can we start the experiment now, the
Yes.
activities?
Yes.
Okay, let's go.
It's very difficult for family caregivers to understand that this person with early dementia, who might still be independent, will in time to come not be able to find his way home. And with time, not be able to bathe himself, not be able to dress, not be able to go to toilet normally, and eventually not even be able to eat on his own. We must then be able to provide or see things from the perspective of the sufferer. So the ability to stand in the shoes of the person and see the world through their eyes, experience what they're experiencing, and use our ability or gift of empathy is most important in person-centered care.
Welcome to Cruise to Anywhere, the only cruise in the whole world. We are the host, and I'm the captain. So for the next about 3 hours, you'll be doing some activity.
Okay, go toilet now. Can you please go toilet? It's time for toileting. Yeah, can you take shower? Yeah. Come on. Faster. Just now I have no time for you. Hurry up. I don't want to pee. No, you have no choice. You have to pee. It's time for peeing, okay?
The tree is going to move.
The what? This is the medication. You have to ask. Drink it. Don't argue.
What you need to do is to look out for the red checkered shirt, wear it, and button it.
Wear a shirt. Any shirt. The red shirt.
Yeah. He was struggling a bit, to understand me at first, probably because of the noise, and also his vision wasn't that clear enough.
You cannot do what? How long already? You understand English? I must speak Chinese, Malay. Hurry up. So slow, it's not.
And I was looking through the pile, I found 2 shirts. Well, one was checkered red and white, the other one was a mixture of red and a few colors. So I kept doubting myself, and it's almost like there are 2 people speaking to me.
Well, they both look kind of red to me.
Pick up. Yes, okay. Wear. Wear this direction. Come. No. Why you don't know how to wear? Your mother never teach you how to wear.
So here, what you're supposed to do is just to prepare a cup of coffee, right? Get the red mug.
The red mug?
Yeah. Then 2 scoops of coffee powder, 1 scoop of sugar, and 1.5 teaspoon of creamer.
Of lemon?
Creamer.
Oh, it's one of these, huh? I don't know what that is. And when I finally got hold of that coffee, sugar, and creamer, I had to keep saying in my head, 2 coffee, 1 sugar, 1.5, a third thing. So I was told to do 2 of these.
Anybody feel very angry now? I feel helpless because the room was dark and the pampers, you don't know which side to put. I also feel very lost throughout the whole day. Humiliated.
Honestly, I agree with you. Yeah, some can be belittling.
Then there's a point of time that I'm just holding back my feelings because like I was frustrated and angry.
It's an environment in which we treated you badly. We had to put you through a very, very stressful situation to make you feel vulnerable this way. When you're old and frail and have cognitive deficits like dementia, your ability to tolerate stress is poor. So if you feel you're forced to do things, you feel demeaned, you feel helpless, you're not respected. For these patients who are weak and frail and vulnerable, it does not take so much to make them feel this way.
You know, the thing that I noticed with my grandma is that she starts not wanting to do simple activities. It's things that are simple to us, like taking a shower, brushing the teeth, but it really is so, it's such a hassle to do everything. So now I understand why, you know, for them it's just easier if, you know, let's just not take a shower, just because it makes it easier. Yeah.
So he understands now how the person with dementia feel, you know, how confused they are, even at their home setting. They can be very confused, you know, and they can also feel that they are losing their abilities. And of course, at the end of it, you know, having known their situation, they have pledged themselves that they want to become a better caregiver.
What's the activity for today?
Today we come here to look at make food. What's it called? Tang-yuan. Is it tang-yuan? Ondeh is the same thing. Tang-yuan.
Neuropsychology might be one of the things that I might venture into in the future, partly because of my mom and partly because I want to be involved in helping people like my mom.
So for Oreo to be in Australia,
yeah,
for 2 years or more, how do you feel? Your 宝贝 youngest daughter gonna be in Australia?
No lah, 宝贝 never mind. I'm going. No need to follow me. I know I'm going to that place. Okay lah, you want to go. So she'll be there for 2 years. Then after that she will come home. Los Angeles. So yeah,
Yeah, worrying about my mom is definite. It's 100% always on my mind. I was thinking about, okay, I might not be able to go through with her the rougher times, because this is sort of a start for us. Yeah, and what I've researched online, talked with other caregivers as well, even the doctors and nurses, that it will get worse. So yeah, it's worrisome that for me, like I will be away and might not be able to come back for the tougher times. The past few months, she has been getting our names mixed up. So my sister and my names mixed up, brother's names mixed up.
How would you feel if you were in constant communication with her, but when you do come back and she actually doesn't recognize you?
Just a bit devastating. I don't know. I'm not in that particular situation yet, so I can't say much about it as well. I only can think about it, but thinking and feeling something are two totally different things.
Hi, Mick.
Hi.
How are you? Yeah, hang on, I'll put my headphones in. So, what we're going to do today, Mick, thanks for joining me. We've got these videos we're producing for Iran and Indonesia, Japan, India and some other countries like that. I was invited to speak at the World Health Organisation's first ministerial conference on dementia in Geneva in March 2015. And I put on the global stage at that conference, I think historically the first person with dementia to give a keynote presentation there. So I was a working married mother of 2 teenage boys, also studying at university, and diagnosed with dementia at the age of 49. So it was like a bolt out of the blue. I cried for weeks and weeks and weeks. I mean, it's a hideous diagnosis to be given. Even though I'd worked in a dementia unit, I didn't know young people got dementia. Even now, a lot of the world, even the Western developed world, doesn't really understand that young people get dementia, particularly out in the community. I used to have a very in-depth knowledge of classical music. We went to Milan and we went to La Scala, which I'd been wanting to go to La Scala since I was 12, a concert hall. One of my most favourite pieces, Mahler's Third Symphony. When we got there and we were listening to it, I thought we were at the wrong concert. I had zero recollection of it being Mahler. And I ended up crying almost the whole night. I was so upset. So the next day, my husband took me, he said, well, you know, let's go to another concert. We'll go to something else was on, say it was Mozart. I didn't know if it was the same as the night before, or I didn't know it was Mozart. So I use a lot of strategies for living with dementia, and having the university teach me to see the symptoms as disabilities really helped with that. So, for example, I had always used a paper diary. Well, that works as long as you put the appointments in your diary. And I was sometimes putting appointments in 3 places in my diary. And then I'd not turn up at appointments, or I'd turn up appointments on the wrong day. And so my family said, well, we need to get you, and we'll all get iPads and we'll all hook into an electronic diary. So we can manage your diary for you. And if you look around the house, there are some laminated help sheets for making a cup of coffee, or things at the front door. Don't forget to take your keys, don't forget to turn the oven off, things like that. Oh, there we go. Hi. So we're calling from Australia. How cool is that?
Very cool.
Yeah. How are you?
I'm good.
Good. I'm Kate.
I'm Annie.
Nice to meet you, Annie.
Yeah, nice to meet you.
Yeah. Galen was suggesting that you might, it might be nice for you to join the organisation that I'm involved in, Dementia Alliance International, which is for people living with dementia like me. So I was 49 when I was told I had dementia.
49?
I'm a bit older than that now, 58.
My mom had dementia.
Did she?
Severely.
Right.
She passed away, yes.
Yeah, my father-in-law did too, and he passed away. He had Lewy body dementia.
Somehow it's hereditary, I guess. At least one in a family might get it, so I see it that way.
It was horrible when I was first diagnosed, horrible. But I've learnt to kind of live beyond it and with it, in spite of it. I was told to get my end-of-life affairs in order, but never was I given any support for the fact that dementia is a terminal illness. If I'd been diagnosed with cancer, motor neurone disease, or any other terminal illness, I would have been supported to fight for my life, even if there was no cure. Instead, I was told to go home and give up. So I believe in that term so much. That took away all of my hope for a future. It meant that other people didn't see me as a whole person. They just saw the deficits or the expected end-stage deficits of dementia. So you're coping okay?
Yeah, fine. I'm happy, and I joke and I go with friends. I mean, like the doctor says, you don't stay too long. I make an effort that you have to do it yourself.
Yeah.
You know, nobody's going to help you if you don't help yourself.
Yeah, you got a very similar attitude.
I put myself happy, mashallah.
Yeah, well, you've got a positive attitude. That's fantastic. So I'll send some information back for you, and you can have a bit more of a read about it. And we can maybe connect again one day.
Yes, will be nice.
Yeah. All right, well, we'll finish up now. It's been really nice to talk to you.
Yes, same
really
to
nice
you.
to meet you.
Yes.
Yeah, all the best.
Yeah, same to you.
Okay,
Cheers, bye.
I was given the prognosis of maybe 10 years, and that's 8 years ago when I was diagnosed, and the prediction of the course of my dementia was very different to what I've experienced. But within 12 months, I really changed how I managed living with dementia. But most of the books have been written about people with dementia by people without dementia. I'm not so sure that's even a really valid story, because I've been a carer for 3 people with dementia. Some days I still suffer having watched them change, decline and then die. It's very difficult to watch that.
Put your hands straight.
No.
Fingers open. Good. Can you do this for me?
This one? Pull it out, I mean?
No, do this. See what I'm doing?
Uh-huh.
Then I'm hooking them. Compared to the last assessment in June, today her scores are slightly better. So from that sense, she's stable. What I've asked her to do is to make sure that she takes her medications regularly and also to have more mental stimulation. And the son who was here today also reinforced the importance of that, and he'll work with the rest of the family to make sure that she remains mentally engaged. Having that family support increases the social interaction, increases her cognitive stimulation, and that will definitely slow down the disease. If you compare her to someone where there is no family support with poor social interaction, then their mood symptoms are going to become more obvious, and that will result in more of social isolation, less stimulation of the brain, and hence a faster progression of dementia.
I wrote this poem not too long after being diagnosed. It's called Slipping Away. Life slipping away, terrified one day soon I won't know my children. Life slipping away, mortified one day soon I won't know my husband. Life slipping away, disbelief one day soon I won't know my family. Life slipping away, angry one day soon I won't know my friends. Humiliated one day soon I won't know how to drive. Life slipping away, despairing one day soon I won't know who I am. Sometimes I'll do a story for a newspaper or a magazine, and they want to write about my advocacy work, for example, and then they want to label me sufferer of dementia. Well, clearly I'm not suffering all of the time. So why would they label me sufferer, as if that's the sum total of my experience? Why not Kate Swaffer, living well with dementia?